Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. So happy to have you all here again. I'm so grateful for all of you who have subscribed and are sharing the channel with your loved ones. We are definitely seeing the needle move and we're seeing so much improvement and we continue to improve the videos. So I hope that you're enjoying them and so grateful again for you to be here with me. So we're going to dive into continuing the conversation around labels and how we use people's labels to disarm ourselves or disarm them or disable them. And sometimes it's at our detriment. And so I thought it was so important to bring in this awareness to all of you today because I keep hearing so many of you having conversations on why your relationships didn't work. Maybe your marriage or your partner has had some diagnosis. I know that the word that gets thrown out a lot is narcissistic or narcissism and borderline personality disorders and bipolar and all of these different labels, right? Diagnoses that are being given out by mental health professionals, which I was one for 20 years. Just never used the labels in my practice. That was not the focus. My focus was to help clients heal rather than them feel that they were disabled because of their labels. Like, okay, we're just going to put that to the side. Like, that's okay, whatever. Like, but how do you become better? How do you live with this diagnosis or this label so that you can continue to heal yourself and then one day maybe, feel better that that label is better or it's gone away, right? Because you have an awareness now and you've been awakened to understand why you act that way. And so something that I learned being in that field for over 20 years was that many times our labels, many times the diagnosis that was being given to that person was also part of the dynamic of their family, was how they were brought up, was what they saw from mom and dad. If they lived in a very chaotic home and they were very, it felt very scattered and very disorganized at home, that person would grow up to be an adult that was also bringing that into their own reality. So they felt very scattered, very chaotic, very confused, not a lot of clarity, having trouble grounding, very sporadic in how they would show up and how they would act. And so not very centered, not very focused, but more so scattered, right? Because that's the environment that they were brought up in and they just kind of continued that trend in their own life. And if that person would have done some healing work as to heal that past and that environment growing up, then perhaps they would be more centered, more focused, more grounded, having more clarity and being more organized in their own environment and less chaotic, right? Because they would have learned that an environment of chaos was not good for them because it would scatter them. And so they needed more order and more organization in their own adult life, right? So that's what we do, is that we learn from our family of origin what are the things that didn't work or weren't so productive for us so that we could always become better than what we learned in our own home, right? And then we want to pass that down to our kids so that they're better than we are, right? So that we teach them to be better than the circumstances that we lived through, and we give them a better environment so that they can continue to progress on and have even higher levels of success than we've had. And so the reason why today was so important for me to share and to stress was because when we're using these different, I'm going to call them diagnoses, but they're actually labels. And we are stating that the reason why this person acted this way towards you was because they were abused growing up, or because one of their parents committed suicide, or because they were adopted, or because they were abused, or there was addictions in their environment. And so when you're saying that, And this has been a person that has been abusive towards you, abusive towards your family, your children. And you're saying that this is okay because of what they went through, right? And this harmful experience that has hurt you, because you're excusing their behavior, you're accepting that what they did was okay. And so many times we're not aware that us accepting this person's behavior or the diagnosis or their labels or their, dysfunction, by you accepting that what they did was not that it was okay, but it was acceptable because of where they come from, you are now conspiring against yourself. And so you now have become your own enemy. And I'm sharing this because I've experienced some of this myself, and I've experienced working with other people that have had this kind of experience in their life. And it wasn't until they could come to the awareness and acceptance that this other person's behavior was totally unacceptable, and it didn't matter where they came from, and it didn't matter what they went through, and it didn't matter what their circumstances were growing up. Nothing gives anyone else the permission to harm another human being, another person. And so when you are just saying, well, I left that relationship because the person was a narcissist, or I left that person because they are bipolar, and I didn't want to be around them because I didn't, I couldn't stand how they treated me, or how they spoke to me, or how they were with me, or that's great, right? But we're going back to you. How did you feel being disrespected? How did you feel being abused? How did you feel knowing that this person was telling you all along, no, I hit you because I love you, or I because I'm so jealous that I'm obsessed with you because that's how I love you, is because I have to be obsessed, and my obsession takes me to be jealous, and my jealousy then takes me to push you, right? So when we're looking at this, and I'm sharing from a place of so much love and so much compassion for all of you that have experienced these very scary moments with other people in your life, or people in your life that mistreated you. The reason why I believe that this is so important to talk about today is because so often we make light of the situation because we just excuse, this person's ill, right? And so in their mental illness, they did this, and therefore I kind of had to accept or forgive them or move on from that and be okay. And my invitation today is not to see it from that perspective, but to see it from the perspective of what you went through, right? What you came out of, right? And how beautiful and amazing and awesome you are for removing yourself from that situation, not excusing that person, right, at all, at any level. It's inexcusable. Just like I listen, and I speak to people all the time about the power of self-forgiveness, right? Because this is part of this journey. This is part of healing. This part of you is going through your own self-forgiveness. And people sometimes say, no, it's not until you forgive the other person that you free yourself from that situation. And I don't agree. I believe that some acts and some people and some ways of being are unforgivable. And it has nothing to do whether I forgave myself or that you can forgive yourself. This has to do with their behavior is not forgiven. Because if I forgive that behavior, I am conspiring against myself that what they did was okay. And it will never be okay that someone hurt you. That is unacceptable. And so when you can sit with yourself and forgive yourself for putting yourself through whatever that situation was, good, bad, whatever, like ugly, all those things, and truly go into the self-forgiveness that you came out of it and that you are no longer in it. Or for those of you that are maybe still experiencing something like this, the opportunity of stepping out of this and having the option and the awareness that stepping out of this doesn't make you a bad person, or doesn't make you have to carry all of this shame around, or all of this guilt around, or that more than anything, sitting with yourself to heal this shadow aspect of your life so that you can come out of this and go into the light and feel that you're so deserving and worthy of having a beautiful life. And that was an episode, and I'm using the words very strategically and very intentionally. That was a time in your life, that was a timeline, an episode, a moment or moments that you are ready to heal and to come out of. That you no longer have to be the victim to what happened to you or what that person did to you. That instead you came out, and not as the victim, but as the hero to yourself. That you were able to overcome all of this, and your job now is to begin to heal and then move forward, right? And so many times we are so stuck in recycling the past, or recycling those moments that didn't feel so good, it didn't work so well, or didn't make you feel like you were loved, or that you were accepted by these people or by this person, or that you were doing the right thing, or whatever these things are. Removing yourself fully allows you and gives you the permission to start thinking forward, right? Future focused. How do I now create my life from today on forward, without having to look back, without having to reassess the situation? We all love to analyze and overanalyze things, right? Why did I put myself through this? How did I allow this to happen? Feeling so ashamed, like, how did I give this person permission? Like, all of that is not happening now. What's happening now is that you have left the situation, that you have overcome that place and time, and that you now have this wonderful opportunity to move yourself forward and create the life that you deserve, that you are worthy of experiencing. Your dreams fulfilled life is here now. And so, yes, looking at the rainbows and butterflies from a very good place, of course, not because you're delusional, but because you are done feeling like a victim, or you are done feeling like you're less than, and you are fully moving forward to the new life, your new reality, your new opportunity of love again. Love in a different way. However, the love has to start with you first. And if you're going to take something away from what happened in your past, is that you did not love yourself enough. And therefore you chose, or you were with somebody that didn't love themselves either. It doesn't mean that that you can excuse them for not loving themselves, and that's why they didn't love or know how to love. That's not what we're talking about here. Your responsibility now, today, is to step into self-love. How do you do that? Is self-forgiveness first and foremost. You've got to be okay with everything that you have endured through your life. That you've put yourself through, that you put your kids through, that you put your family through, whoever, like whatever that is for you. Accept. Acceptance is freedom, because when you look at it and you accept it, yep, I did. That's exactly what I did. I stayed too long. I excused it too long. Okay, I did it. Great. Awesome. Now we can work. Now you can heal. Now you can let that go and say, okay, that's just who I was, but I'm not that person anymore. I know better. And I know that I have to love myself more today so that I can find someone who loves themselves too. Because when you find someone who loves themselves too, guess what? They're going to treat you so wonderful. They're going to treat you like the prince and the princess that you guys are. They're going to treat you with so much love and so much inspiration and admiration. That's what you're looking for. But it starts with you. It always starts with us. And so I'm inviting you today to relieve yourself and release yourself of any of those diagnoses and labels that you've placed on yourself, right? The victim, the martyr, the person who stayed, the person who feels ashamed and guilty and doubtful and afraid, right? All of those labels, all of those emotions that you've attached to these different labels so that you can fully free yourself today. This freedom is here for you now. It's a wonderful time to start. Today is the day. Today is perfect. Whenever you're hearing this, this is the day. This is your day to finally step into that energy of self-love, self-admiration, self-inspiration, self-respect, right? Self-love, self-forgiveness at all levels. Being okay with yourself. Seeing yourself for who you are, not who you were. That's not who you are now. Who you were and whoever endured all of that is not who's here now. Who's here now is the person that is ready to be healed. Or you would not be listening to this today. You're hearing me and you're listening to this and you came to this channel today because your soul called you in to be here now and say enough is enough. I am ready. I am ready. I'm ready to live the life of my dreams. I'm ready to leave my past in my past. I'm ready to live now and future focus to where I'm going next. And so think about when you're traveling, right? And you're going to different cities in let's say different cities in Europe, right? And you left one city and you had an experience in that city, whether it was a beautiful experience or not so good experience, it doesn't matter. You left the city. You're no longer in that city. You're here now. You're in another city. And you get to experience the delicious food, the wine, the experience, the tours, the cathedrals. You're here. You're in this new experience. You're in a new city. You're in this new reality. And I talk about realities and timelines all the time. Make this your new reality. You only want to be around people who love themselves and love you so that you can love them back because you love yourself. Right? And how we know this sometimes is because when we're around people who are complaining all the time about everything, right? We know those people. They don't make us feel like we want to be around them, right? Because they're complaining, right? Or they're gossiping. Let's say it's that person that talks about everybody. Everybody is bad and wrong and they're just talking about everybody. And they're not allowing themselves to just immerse themselves in the moment and just, again, like they say, smell the flowers, right? How beautiful. Enjoy this trip. Be in that city in Europe and just be consumed and immersed in the beauty and the whole experience, right? So when you're around those kinds of people, it's up to you, now that you're on this journey of self-love, of self-forgiveness, and you have the opportunity to say, you know what? I don't want to be around that person anymore. And sometimes I encourage you to address it with them. Listen, I don't want to have these conversations where every time that we're together, all you do is complain, or all you do is point out all the bad things that are happening in your life, or everything that's bad in our lives or in our family. Like, let's get past that. And you would be surprised how many people would look at you like, oh, really? That's what I do? That's what you think? It's like, yeah. And they'll be more conscious of having a different kind of experience with you because you pointed it out. So sometimes it's just about us pointing it out and just saying, listen, let's get together. When we get together, I want to enjoy the moment with you. I want to enjoy our experience together. I love being with you. I love being present with you. Let's have different kinds of conversations. Let's not get so consumed on the negative. Like, let's just leave all that behind. And that's the same thing that you are doing with that relationship that you were excusing. It's like, no, that person is no longer in my life. Or maybe that's, the parent to your kids and you still have them in your life, but you know that they no longer control you and no longer have this hold over you because you are not excusing them anymore. They are who they are. They acted how they acted. They never healed. They didn't, figure themselves out. Therefore, I'm going to have the conversations that I'm going to have are going to be very strategic, very point blank, very upfront, very clear, very to the point, because I know that they're going to try to gaslight me every time that I say something, and that's who they are and how they are. But I'm not playing that game anymore. So I'm going to be very direct in my conversations, and I'm not going to expect them to understand or to listen to me or to change their ways, right? Because you had already given them that opportunity. They're not going to change because they don't believe that there's anything wrong with them. And when people accept their behavior and just say, oh yeah, it's because, they're so-and-so, or they're this, or they're that, they're lazy, they're, a narcissist, they're bipolar, they're depressed, and therefore they have this opportunity to do this to other people because you're no longer giving them that. They've got nothing to fall back on. And you've liberated yourself. So just as you've left that city in Europe and you're in this beautiful new city, that's exactly how you're leaving that relationship behind. Is with a heart that is open to receive all of this self-love, self-respect, self-admiration, all that we've spoken about today. And you're going to continue on this beautiful journey to just go to this city and then to the next one, right? To this reality and to your next reality. And continue to find people that align with this new version of yourself. And sometimes this means that we do leave people behind. Sometimes we find that the alignment with that person is no longer, it's misaligned. It's not even aligned anymore. I don't want to be around that energy. I don't want to be around that person. And that's okay. You don't have to, there's nothing, they probably feel the same way, right? So it's probably mutual, and just let it go. Just let it go. Stop thinking about it or trying to excuse it or analyze it. Just let it go. It's okay. We grew out of this relationship and we grew out of this friendship, and that's fine. I'm on a different trajectory in my life, and they're in their trajectory in their life. And it's interesting because sometimes the universe, the energy just does it for us. Maybe it's not even, you don't even have to say anything. You just find that they distance themselves for whatever reason. And that's okay, because when the frequencies are no longer matching and you're misaligned, it's like they kind of forget that you exist, or you forget that they exist, or you forget to check in, or they don't check in with you. And kind of just, the energy just has this ability, the universe has this ability of just doing it for you. So just be open, be in this energy of love, of compassion, of kindness, of joy, and realizing that you are ready to start your new life, to build and create from this place now. So with that, I'm leaving you all today, sending you all so much love, and see you at the next one. Thank you.